And now I want to tell you about the Work Ready program. Work Ready is a program that is going from December of last year to December of this year. And the program is aimed to help people who are affected by COVID either get a job or help people improve their work situation. And by that, I mean get a promotion or to get the knowledge and information to plan a more sustainable career path. We're helping you do that in 3 different ways. The first is we're lending out laptops and Wi-Fi hotspots out of 20 library locations all over LA County for 6-week periods. All you have to do is fill out a form on our website at lacountylibrary.org/work-ready, or just go to our website, lacountylibrary.org, and click on Work Ready. There's a registration form with just a few questions, and choose your library. We'll send you an email with all the instructions. The second way that we're trying to help LA County job seekers is with programs like this. So 6 weeks at a time during each session, we're having 6 live events on all sorts of work-related topics, including celebrating women entrepreneurs. We have many more topics for you and also pre-recorded videos, all available on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/LA County Library. We have a whole playlist dedicated to Work Ready, so you can see all of the different live events and pre-recorded videos that we've recorded for you. And Anna Sylvia just posted that in the chat. Finally, we're purchasing the latest and greatest books and ebooks and audiobooks for anyone who's interested in practically any work-related topic, from test prep to resumes and cover letters to interviewing better, remote work, different kind of work skills, and of course, career planning. And that is the Work Ready program. But we're all here today for Women Entrepreneurs Speak. And so without further ado, I would like to welcome, as it were, all of our panelists onto the stage. All right, well, let's get started with introductions. So I'll let each of the panelists introduce themselves and tell us a little bit about you and the type of business that you have. So let's start with Tamara.
Hi, everyone. My name is Tamara Brown. In the bio of this program, I'm labeled as a hustler, and I love it. I'm labeled as a hustler because I have a full-time job with the city where I work as a 911 dispatcher. I'm a wife, a mother of 5, and then I have my bakery, Makaji Cakery, which is downtown LA, right outside City Hall. That's who I am.
So let me go ahead and just show you some of Tamara's creations, because it's really amazing the things that she does.
Oh.
And she was saying earlier, each of these creations has a story, and maybe we'll hear some of them later on in the panel. And our next panelist to introduce themselves is Brianna.
Hi, everyone. My name is Brianne, owner and founder of Ambition is the New Pink and Ambitious Mama of 2. Ambition is the New Pink is a collective fashion brand, streetwear brand for empowering women, strong, uplifting messages, bold designs, as well as we have the event side to bring together sisterhood and community.
And our next panelist is Judith.
Hi, everyone. My name is Judith Norman, and I am the founder of Start TV, which is a multimedia platform that shares authentic stories of multicultural entrepreneurs who have overcome obstacles to bank on their bliss. So we tell stories in book format. You're actually looking at our book, Women's Work, which is Los Angeles edition, which is the first book in a 5-book series. where we go across the country and have conversations with female founders. So there'll be 5 cities. The first one was Los Angeles. Detroit is coming up. We have Atlanta, Philadelphia, and I was going to do New York, but I think I'm going to have the 5th city be a people's choice. So I'll have people like submit their city, and a city will have to win. But basically, I am a storyteller, and my subject, fearless women.
Thank you. And Judith is actually the prime mover in this panel because she was the one who contacted me and sent me her book, and I was just blown away and definitely wanted her on, and she was able to connect me with all of these wonderful business owners. So our next business owner is Diane.
Hi, I'm Diana Lundin, and I'm a pet photographer. I work almost exclusively with dogs and cats. The occasional person I like to do really creative portraits with. I've been a journalist, I've been a website editor, I've been a publicist, a TV producer, but when I found pet photography, it was kind of like, it was it for me. That's all I wanted to do. Photograph pets, they're the best, and that's my story.
I've got a few of your photos, Diana, that I've selected from your website, which is just a glorious place to be. If anybody's in a bad mood, I'm going to post the information for all of our panelists in the chat right now, and I highly urge you to maybe not right at this moment, but maybe after the panel, check out some more of the photos. So this is Diana's book, and then we've got a few photos from different kind of different photo shoots, different themes. So this one I believe is called Soul of the Dog. Is that right, Diana?
Yeah, it's the soul of a dog. Soul of the dog.
Or cat.
And cat. And 2 cats.
And then this one is Dog Noir.
Dog noir, yes.
I love it. And to close us off with the introductions, Daly.
Hi, everyone. My name is Daly. I am a content creator. I call it lifestyle with a curly twist. And you can find me at Daily Chris. I create content on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube.
Thank you. So let's get started with our questions. And the first question I have is, at the beginning, it's obvious that there's such a diversity of representatives from some really challenging and unusual fields. How did each of you land on your type of business? Daly, do you want to start?
Of course, yes. So I landed here, it was basically by mistake, like I said, because all I wanted to do was share my journey. When I moved from Dominican Republic to LA, I started relaxing my hair chemically. So I just wanted to actually share my experience and find a community that were interested in the same that I was. And it was actually like a bad comment, you know, like the haters are your motivators, like that can happen. So somebody once says like, oh, I'm gonna unfriend you because all you do is talk about curly hair now, like what is wrong with you? So that day I was like, you know what, I'm gonna open up a Facebook page and then I can talk about curly hair all I want. And then that's what I did. And I found out that people were interested in my story, in what I have to say. And from there, it was the website and then the YouTube and so on. It just, all of a sudden, I realized that I have a business in my computer. And that's basically how it started, like really simple, but really magical.
Thank you. Judith, do you want to go next?
Sure. Let's see. My story is I used to produce e-courses, how-to videos in the creative lifestyle industry, which would be like cooking, scrapbooking, crochet, knitting, all that kind of thing. And so part of the course would be like a live chat with we had like there's celebrities in that lifestyle industry. There's like celebrity crafters. And so I would do classes for them. And So I would prepare for questions about the project or, things like that. But when we would get on the call with the celebrity, all the people wanted to know was, how did you get started your business and how can I do it for me? And so I kept hearing that. And then also when I would, go and teach myself, because I used to have a wholesale jewelry business. And so I would actually teach my technique at different stores and locations, and including Joann's and some private places. And it was always, they wanted to know all about me. How did I get started? Um, how can they do it? So I saw that there was something there. There was something missing there. And that's the story of women entrepreneurs, the journey. And so I said, you know what? I'm going to go. I'm a storyteller, so I'm going to tell these stories. And so that's what I'm doing.
Thank you. And Diana, how did you get into pet photography?
Well, I started doing photography in high school, which is a few years ago, and before digital, let's put it that way, like, tintype. Um, so I majored in journalism in college, and uh, my specialty was photojournalism. So I always did writing and photography at the same time. And then as I went up the ladder a bit, all I did was writing. I put the camera aside and let the real specialists handle it. So I didn't do anything with photography for a really long time. I was a reporter for about 15 years. Then I went into various other aspects of media. And in 2000, I got my first little rinky-dink Olympus camera. Started realizing there is a world that I don't even know about. And then I was laid off from my website editing job 10 years ago, and almost 10 years ago. And I said, well, this time I'm going to do what I really want to do, which is photography. And I was doing video, and I was trying my hands with newborns, and they were peeing and pooping all over the place. And it's like, Diana does not like this. And so then I went into, I found pet photography, and I realized I could do it. And that was in 2013, and I've never looked back. That is I love it so much, the dogs and the cats and their attitudes and their just everything about it. And I love to take a beautiful thing and make it even more beautiful. So that's where I come from.
Thank you, Diana. Tamara, would you go next, please?
Hi. I started out, well, let me give the disclaimer, because I always like to give the disclaimer of where I come from, because I come from a long line of service-driven individuals. I worked for the city. My sister worked for the city. My father, my mother, my father was a Marine for 20 years before he did his 30 with the city. We were all about our community and giving back. And working 911, it's a blessing. I appreciate any opportunity to be of service in that regards. But after a while, I found it taking a toll. And I wanted to be of service to my community in a way that brought more joy. And also, I love cake. Like, if I tell you I love cake, like, that is my happy place. So one night at work, because I used to work the night shift, we were all brainstorming, and I was like, I think I'm gonna sell cake. Mind you, the funny aspect of that, not necessarily ha ha ha, is because I could not bake at that time. So this was probably 2011, and I would destroy a box cake mix. Like, I could not bake. So I started down this path. I started going to culinary school, taking cake decorating lessons, and just began and evolved. And I started doing night markets and farmers markets, any kind of food festival I could get a hold of. And before you knew it, I was creating delicious cakes, and I went from trying to replicate others to creating my own recipes and my own designs. And cake has kind of turned into, I like to say cake is my ministry, because it's turned into this opportunity for me to be a blessing to others and be a part of people's celebration while still being of service.
Thank you. And Brianne, would you close us up with this question?
How I got started with A Vision is New Pink is I previously I had an online boutique for several years, and so I had a love for events, and I had already kind of started fiddling a little bit in events with my previous brand, and so I just was like, okay, I need to come up with a way to be able to bridge the gap because for us as women of color, we don't necessarily have a lot of resources in the sense of being able to build community and sisterhood. That was something that was very strong to me and something that I really wanted to be able to provide. And so I was just like, okay, what else can I come up with that will still be able to combine the two? And so I came up with A Vision is New Pink, and I changed my format as far as in the fashion aspect because originally my foundation was streetwear. Um, and so I was just like, okay, well, let's get this going. I started off initially when I launched A Vision is New Pink doing events. And so that's how I was able to build the foundation in the community and build my audience. Doing small events, which will always lead up to, I would have like a big event and just bringing women together, bringing women entrepreneurs together, influencers, working with different um, working with different partnerships, sponsorships, and just really just bringing the foundation, the community together. And then I launched the fashion side, which basically have the clothing as far as with the strong messaging, the bold imagery, and everything else.
Thank you. And the next question is for Judith and Brianne. And then anyone can jump in if you have anything else to add. So our panel is a celebration of women entrepreneurs. Can the two of you talk about why women choose to be entrepreneurs and the importance of what you mentioned just now, the importance of community in becoming successful? So Judith, do you want to start?
Sure, I'll start. And I'll actually start with me and why I wanted to be an entrepreneur. Um, I always describe myself as a Catholic girl from New Jersey who wanted to grow up and do big things. And for me, in order to do those big things, I'd have to have those big things like travel, go to fabulous places, meet interesting people. Well, entrepreneurship is the path to that. Um, with entrepreneurship, you kind of have the freedom to craft your life.
Yep.
Now, it's not easy. You do have to work hard, but there's just something about being able to feel as if you have that say so in your life, that you are not going to a job that you hate, that someone is not telling you no, you can't take time off until I tell you to take time off. I know when I speak to a lot of women, they want that sense of freedom. A lot of women, the work environment these days can be overwhelming for women because we have so many other things that we have to do outside of work. And I know a lot of women, they want to be home with their children during those first few years. They want to have that freedom to do that, but also not have to worry about, making ends meet. A lot of them, they have certain passions or talents, and they want to share it with the world. And of course, make some money doing it as well. So there's a lot of different reasons.
I know, speaking for myself, it was definitely freedom of time. Freedom of time, being able to own my time, being able to, at the time, I only had one child. So being able to be as physically present as I could, be there for her. When I had my daughter, I was 19 in college. And so I just was like, okay, I literally was sitting in my buyer's class, going to school for fashion, for merchandise marketing. And I just was like, okay, I want to be a buyer, but I don't want to be a buyer for someone else. Like it just clicked on me while I was in the class. Like I was just like, I want to be a buyer, but I don't want to be a buyer for another, for Dillard's or Nordstrom's or Bloomingdale's or just anyone. I need to do this for myself. And so initially I just was like, okay, how can I get the ball rolling? And take what I've already learned and start applying it for myself. Just like Judith says, speaking to other women, a lot of it is the same thing, being able, freedom of time, ownership, pay disparity, in the sense of, people working but not getting their rightful pay that they should be paid. It's a lot of different reasons. It's just kind of, I guess, depending on the woman that you speak to on her reasoning of why she, you know, wants to be an entrepreneur or is currently an entrepreneur. The company culture, you know, within for certain companies, the stress, you know, and like Judith said as well, what comes, I mean, it's a lot of things outside of just work for women, you know, maintaining a household, you know, having a social life. So it's a lot of different aspects.
Sure. And I mean, it's not easy what you guys do. And so I'm curious, was there for, this is for all the panelists, was there a distinct moment when you felt like I'm doing the right thing by doing this? If there was, can you describe that moment for us and what led up to it? Daly, do you want to start with this one?
Yes. So I have a marketing degree, right? So for me, what actually, I mean, when you go to college or I don't know, in my case, my dream was to have like a good job, like a great position, right? So when I landed here and then I started to share my journey and start creating stuff and seeing like people were interested in that, clients were interested in my voice as well, I just felt like, oh wow, like this is it. And it's funny because I was looking for a job, right? So like coming from another country, there was like a time where I have like to wait for certain papers and stuff. So I said, okay, let me just do this and let me start creating. But then I was still applying like online to jobs. I don't know, in purchasing, marketing, whatever, because I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna start working in the United States. Like this is gonna be like awesome. But then when I start this, and then I was able to be home with my daughters. I was able to have a voice, to create, to have the freedoms. And that moment when a brand says like, I want to pay you for this, that was the moment I say like, oh wow, I got something here. And that was the moment when a brand wanted me to work for them, like as an independent work. So that was when I said, yes, this is what I'm gonna do for the rest of my days so far. Of course, I have another ideas and something that I'm working on, but for now, I'm really happy.
Excellent. And I think Diane, you mentioned this in your introduction, but do you want to take this question also? You're muted, Anne.
Uh, it's hard to say when I feel like I made it. It's just with every photo shoot I do that involves animals, I'm just like, I'm never bored. It's always interesting. I can try different things. And that's one thing I do love to do with my clients is try different things like the dog noir, dressing up in the 1940s Los Angeles film noir world, making it black and white and sharp and contrasty, and including dogs and including people of all ethnicities. It's I always say dog noir is very diverse because the the people ethnicities that might have been considered villains in the 1940s are they're anything they want to be. They're the star of their own photo shoot. So that's one thing I love. I love creating experiences for my clients, not just a plain background. And honestly, I had a call last week where my client to be said he saw my website and he said, you're the one who can do this. And he says, I looked at everybody else's website and he said, I saw that you were the one who can give me what I want, which he said was very Annie Leibovitz and very stark lighting and very dramatic lighting and that kind of thing. And I feel like, okay, like now they're knowing what I can do. I'm not a commodity anymore. I'm now an artist that people are seeking out for the art I bring to it, and not just I can shoot a dog in a park kind of thing, which I still love to do.
Gratifying
have
feeling. Go ahead, Judith.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I have something. I kind of want to reverse it a little bit and say, for me, I mean, yes, people have told me I do what I do very well, and I'm appreciative of it. But the thing for me is that I can't give it up. It's like no matter, it's like every year I'm like, if something doesn't happen by this date, I'm done. I'm done with it. And then it just something, and then something good will happen, or something, or I'll have another idea, or just something, and it'll suck me right back in. So when you can't let go, I think that's kind of when you know that that's your thing.
And Tamara, do you want to take it next?
I don't actually remember when my like Wahoo moment was, but I can absolutely tell you that at this stage of it, um, I feel validated in the process every time I get an email, like this past weekend. And I love and I just appreciate that someone will pick up their celebration cake on Friday and email me that evening or first thing in the morning, all caps, telling me how the cake was the star of the party, how delicious that cake was, that they can't wait for their next celebration. And because I struggled with a period of like an imposter syndrome. I struggled with periods like is this the time away from family worth it? There were just so many aspects of it in which I was like, am I on the right path? That I am just so grateful to now bask in the moment and just step out on faith that all this time I put into recipes and that they came to me, because you can literally get cake anywhere. You go into a Walmart grocery store, but so persons choose me, and that within itself is validating. So I feel every time someone orders, every time I get a response or a follow-up or feedback, it just is a reminder that I am on the right path.
It's like a version of what Diana went through. It's like you are an artist. Somebody chose you because only you can do what you do.
Exactly.
And Brianne, do you want to close us up with this one?
Yes, I know. One moment of validation for me was for sure when I had one of my summertime fine social suites, probably about 4 years ago, and we were inside, of course, doing the production side, putting everything together, and one of my staff, she was like, "Have you seen outside?" And I was like, "No, because I'm inside like crazy chicken." Put in, setting everything. We're setting up, and I looked, and it was a line, wrapped around the building, and I was like, "Oh, okay." And it's crazy because you sell the tickets and stuff to the event, but of course too you can sell the tickets but people still not show up even though they purchase a ticket. Something may have come up or whatever the case may be. And literally before we had to open the doors a few minutes early, just so people wouldn't be standing standing outside because it was the summertime. And that's when I was just like, oh, I have something. And then of course once I launched the clothing, the reviews people leave and the feedback, and the same thing, the emails that I receive, people love the brand. They love when they wear their clothing. They always talk about how they receive so many compliments. They're always excited to receive their packages, because they're just like, oh, it's such an experience. Like my package, it came so it came so beautiful. And so yeah, that those two things I would definitely say for me are like very validating moments.
That's amazing. Yeah, building up that through your work inside. I mean, you just over and over building up that community, that audience, and then seeing that they're there they are. That's amazing. Daly, I have a question for you. So you've built up an impressive audience with Daily Curls. What tips would you give to aspiring influencers on finding and building up an engaged audience?
That's an interesting question. What I always said is that be true to yourself. I know it sounds like a cliche, but it is a lot of work, right? And if you are sharing something that you are passionate about, in a way, even though it is a lot of work, and everybody can agree with me, but when it's something that you know that you are passionate about, it's going to be easier. And it's something that you can maintain, because if you just go with the flow, like, okay, let me do this because so and so is doing that, and maybe yes, I just want to have what they have. You are not, you can maintain that no matter what you do. But when you start something from knowledge, from passion, you will success. It is a lot of work, but when you do it with passion, and always remember that you have a voice, that you have people listening to you in the, in the screen, in Instagram, whatever it is, and you have to be true to yourself, because you do have a voice and there are people listening to you. And yes, you can do it. Whatever you want, whatever you are passionate about, hard work, consistency, and just start.
And then I want to expand this to the rest of the panel also, because I know each of you in your own way have to build up client bases, whether it's just the general public or sort of very specific audiences. So I want to ask everybody, how do you find your clients? How do your clients find you? Brianne, could you start, please?
Definitely, as Daly said, for sure, being true to self and being your authentic self, at every point. Um, say from with events, if a brand wants to collaborate or work or come in on an event that we have that, I may have already going, I am very, very firm on picking, um, being very selective of who it is that I work with. I'm not in it for just because you could cut me a check. If our brands don't align, I don't care how much money you can pay me. If the brand doesn't align and it doesn't speak to my audience as well, you're not just going to come in and benefit off me. It has to be, for sure a mutual win-win for both. I'm very, very firm on that. I would definitely say being firm in your messaging, not getting caught up in social in the aspect of the numbers. A lot of people, they'll hold themselves up because or get discouraged because of social media and numbers. And I tell people you can't necessarily go by that, because if you could build a strong community, especially in person, it doesn't matter what the numbers could be in social, because you could move numbers outside of that. And really people understanding that, yes, social is a big platform and it's a strong platform, and you can do amazing things with it, but you need to look at it as the tool that it is. It's a tool, it's not everything. Um, and I'm very strong on that as well, because if it goes away tomorrow, what do you have if you don't own it? If you don't have, your own platform, what's going to become of it? So I'm very big on, just building outside of that, building relationships, being good to people, sharing resources, um, just, yeah, being true to self.
And Tamara, do you want to go next?
Can you repeat the question?
Of course. How do you find your clients?
Okay. How do my clients find me?
And how do your clients find you?
I would say referrals are my number one. I don't actually market, so all my customers come from either word of mouth, referrals. When I first started, like I said, I started like night markets and food markets. So I tried to position myself where people would like run into me. They would try it, and so many people still even have been with me since I started. and we've kind of evolved together, even from them buying cupcakes, treats, or pastries at a farmer's market to meeting the one and I making their wedding cake, and now then it's a baby shower, and then it's birthday parties. We've gone through this journey together. As well, as my skill set has evolved, so has the need. But word of mouth, and or say if Oleg, you had a party, somebody had the cake, and they're like, "Oh my God, this is amazing." That's how my customers find me. And well-positioned hashtags.
That's the thing. Delicious cake and hashtags. 2 tips take away for everybody. Take away today.
Right.
Judith, you want to go next?
Okay, so for me, events. I like going to events pre-COVID, obviously, and that's actually I've been to Brienne's events and they were awesome, and I met so many women entrepreneurs, and actually one of them is in Women's Work Los Angeles edition. Her name is Itika Grimble now. She was Itika Old Wine then, and she's a florist. So I meet a lot of people at events, and now of course with COVID, virtual events. Actually, I met Tamara at a small event as well, a small meetup of women entrepreneurs. That's where we met, and I remember she came up to me. She was like, "So what do you do?" Like, what?
I apologize. I want to say I was pregnant with baby number 5, so I
You were
need
pregnant.
a pass if I was.
She came up to me. She was like, "Okay." She was like, "Okay, Judith." She came in. She was like, "Okay, oh, you're Judith. Okay, Judith. Who are you? What do you do? Just tell me what's going on." I thought that was so funny. So definitely events are great places, especially for me as a storyteller, because I need subjects. And so that's why I always go to different meetups and things like that. And so that's one way. Something that I'm learning now and that I'm being encouraged to do is sharing more of myself, because that does tend to get a response, especially on social media. I've worked behind the scenes for so long that I'm not used to talking about myself or even being in front of the camera. So that's something I'm working very hard on now, like doing something like this, um, even putting pictures of myself on Instagram. It's not something that I'm still not very comfortable with it. So people DM me. That's how I find a lot of people to feature. They DM me and say, "Hey, I know this person," or "Check this person out." I go through Instagram. So there's a lot of different ways in terms of people finding me. Um, I don't know. Usually they just find me. So it's usually probably a combination if they met me at an event or someone told them about me, or they found me some kind of way.
Well, Judith, thank you for being here. I'm glad that you're willing to be front and center. And Diane, do you want to close us up with this question?
Yeah, it's interesting how for years it was hard I don't even understand the term marketing sometimes. And it was hard for me to find clients. But then I started doing partnerships, sometimes just for fun, just for free, just to explore new techniques, a new concept or something. So I would specifically either use my newsletter or contacts that I knew that had a broader reach than I did. And we would do collaborative things. And when they posted on their Instagram or whatever, it was way more powerful than when I was just doing it myself. And I started getting clients that way. But I also went to a lot of events in 2019. I hear what you're saying, Judith. I went to so many events in 2019, all the dog events, and I always give away a session, but the true purpose, I think most people know, is to collect email addresses and get a list. So I collected over 1,000 that year, which is a great thing, and I was able to communicate with my audience very directly. And I'm also at the stage in my career now that I'm getting repeat clients who had a good experience with me when I was first starting out, well, their animals are dying now. I mean, it's very sad. They're it's 8 years on, so we're losing some of them, and their parents always tell me about them, and that they lost their dog or cat, and which I love. I love when they tell me, and it's just kind of like getting some repeat. Well, you got him as a 1-year-old, and now he's like 8 years old, and I want to show the difference. And so surprisingly, in the last year, I've gotten a lot of repeat clients, which is very interesting to me. But I did do the events, and I do free things or very low cost things that I wouldn't ordinarily do on my own for my own portfolio. I do, but they're fun things like Frida, my dog, with a Frida Kahlo background and flower crowns and things like that. Those are not expensive shoots. They're just fun shoots. And I can get a lot of people in at one time to do something a little fun. So
Go
I
ahead,
had to
Judith.
develop, like most people who answered you, they had to develop that over time. That's and events, you get your face out there and your work.
So what I wanted to say, my advice to anyone out who's to our audience tonight is you have to be very proactive, especially in terms of, like, if you go to an event, you can't stand against the wall. You have to go up and you have to introduce yourself and let people know. And also, even with collaborations, with something that was a common theme throughout this question, it doesn't take much to reach out to someone that you feel would complement your brand and say, hey, would you like to do a project with me? I've done that with Brianne. She's helped me out with something that I'm working on now. Tamara, she also participated in a project. So you have to come out of your shell, you have to be proactive, and you have to learn how to make opportunity happen versus waiting on someone to come to you.
I want to throw in a question that we got from, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and also if you are an influencer and you want to find clients, show what you already have. I remember when I wanted to be more about travel, right? Which I'm really strong now. So what I did was I paid with my own money everywhere I go. I tagged the brand, I tagged the places, and then when I got home, I took beautiful pictures, and then I do this amazing blog post that if you see, I said, oh, how much money you get for that? No, I pay with my own money because that is a niche that I want to create, right? When I wanted to do more fashion, I tagged the brand, each brand till now. Like I tag every brand, pay me or no pay me. Like I don't care. I just wanted to expand, and that's how people find you. If you tag them, so oh, who is Daily? Let me see her. And that way I found a lot of good deals and brand job, brand ambassadorship, because that was like a perfect fit. It is organic. It is a brand that I already use. So they say, oh, she loves it so much. Like, so let me look at her. So if you want to do this, this is just a really good way to do it. Just the brands that you already have, just tag them along.
And Tamara, I think you had something.
Yes, I just wanted to add, because as Judith was talking, it's just like it just triggered a memory about being progressive, proactive. I was thinking, I don't market necessarily, even though social media, I guess, technically is a form of marketing. But I want to say when I started off, and how I said I would do like night markets and farmers markets, just to give perspective to that. For many years I do like the 626 night markets where it'd be 50,000 and upwards of people. The LA Street Food Fest at the Rose Bowl, we would come in there with 5,000 cupcakes for a day to push, and I remember even when we do pop-ups, the 2 days before a pop-up, I would rent a loft downtown LA, And I can't even think of how many thousands of little marketing cards I would get. And we would litter, forgive me, city of LA, we would litter the streets, like everyone's door, every car, you know, in the whole downtown area. Then I would have my kids, they would dress up as cupcakes, they would hold signs out on the street. People would come in. Because I remember when I started, I said, if I have to individually introduce my cake to everyone, that's what I was going to do. So I don't want to sound cavalier when I say, you know, I'm not, you know, my marketing game isn't that strong right now, but I want to make it also very clear that we put in like hard work, literally door knocking for years. Even I wouldn't say even the where events were calling us because they knew when we showed up, we would perform and overperform. There were years, I want to say many years, even my oldest son, he was a giant piece of bacon for the LA Bacon Fest. So he would just run around and, you know, they knew if they called us, not only would we provide a great cake, but we brought a whole vibe with us.
I love it. Go ahead, Bran.
But Tamara, if you notice that all that, and even with daily, all of what you lady said is being consistent. Being consistent in whatever area that is that, you know, your field, you have to be consistent regardless of how many eyes are on you, whether it is 5 eyes, 500, 5,000, 500,000, 5 million. You have to be consistent to continuously go and get to the audience that you're trying to reach. You know, if you you know, you had your son, he dressed up as the bacon and he just did it the one time, and then, you know, they're looking forward for you to continuously do that, and then you don't. They're like, well, dang, that was such a good idea. Why is she not doing it anymore? Where then it's kind of like out of sight, out of mind. So it's very important to definitely be consistent. It's very important to put yourself out there, like Judith said, you know, collaborate with other women, or whoever, you know, whoever it may be. Don't be afraid to reach out to people and put yourself out there.
I actually want to take a master class from Brienne because I think she's so good.
This is like a taste of
I
what a
mean, it's
master
just,
class from Brienne could be.
I know, it would be amazing.
Actually the term that I'm thinking of, you know, we're talking about persistent. I'm thinking actually, Brienne, when you were talking previously during a different answer, the term I thought of was relentless. You know, just keep
Yes,
going and don't stop.
that's a one of my words is I always say you always have to just keep moving forward. You know, I'll say I didn't got knocked down a million times, but I didn't lay down. I always got up and dusted myself off and kept moving forward.
Indeed, and I have a question I want to take it back to Tamara for a moment, um, and because you know I just want the people out there to know, uh, you're a 911 operator at the same time as you operate this business, and you know, I'm curious what criteria do you use to prioritize the different elements of your life? You said you have 5 kids. The real question is, how do you do it all, and also sleep?
Yes, good question. So I am absolutely at the stage because I'm in my 40s. So sleep has had to become a priority now. I could get away with a lot 10 years ago, but now I have to schedule time in. Literally, before this started on my watch, I did a few minutes of breathing just to center and relax. So I know sometimes we can use these hashtags in a cliche manner, but self care, it is an actual necessity. Um, Depriving yourself of sustenance is not sustainable. My lifestyle is not sustainable long term, even though I'm on year 10. But I am now I now see my way down and I'm just beginning to start delegating out more. But as in regards to how do I manage, how do I prioritize, one I have to say, I work 911, and even though it's a very demanding job, it can be very flexible at the same time. We have 5 different shifts. So if I know things are coming up, I can change. Like next week, I'm about to change shifts again, and I'll only be working 4 days. So I'll switch from a regular 8-hour shift I do now at night. And then next week, I'm going to start a 4-10 where I'll work 10-hour days during the daytime, which I'll have more days off. And I have an insanely supportive family. My mother, my husband, my kids, siblings. Even when we were doing night markets, I've had second cousins, nieces, sisters. Like, I've had a great support system. I don't think any of what I have done would be obtainable without the support of my family. Committing to this, being there physically, whether it's working a cash register, spinning a sign, dressing up, pushing sales at a counter. So they have been as invested in this as I am. Literally, my 20-year-old daughter is back there now organizing cookie cutters into different boxes. It's a family business. It's as much their business as it is mine.
Thank you for that. And I want to throw it out to the rest of the panel too. Who do you want to shout out right now? I mean, who's been instrumental in helping you in your journeys? Judith, do you want to start?
Okay, so my parents, first and foremost. I'm fortunate enough to have parents who invested in me and who always encouraged me and who told me that I deserve to be anywhere that I chose to be. So that they are number one. Let's see, my mentor in my head was Martha Stewart. She was like this everything to me because as a girl, again, I'm from New Jersey. She's from New Jersey, and actually, she's from a few towns over from where I grew up. And to see someone from New Jersey do the things that she did, watching her just create her empire was just so amazing to me. I mean, I'm talking like I remember when she would come on TV, her TV show would come on at like 4 o'clock in the morning, and I would get up to watch it, that kind of stuff. So, so there's quite a few women, I'm always looking and seeing and, out there um, who inspire me. Just, they inspire me by um, creating beautiful products. Overcoming challenges so many different ways. I can't name a whole bunch more right off the top of my head. I mean, it's always for me, off the top of my head, it'll be my mother and then Martha. So let's just keep it at that, my mother and Martha.
That works. Daly, do you want to go next?
Yeah, so definitely my daughters, because they are my editor. My website is a bilingual website. Well, pretty much everywhere, but YouTube is the only um, that is only in Spanish. So my daughter, my oldest, she's my editor in chief. I do pay her, trust me. And they are the one that takes my pictures and everything. At the beginning, I'm not gonna lie, it wasn't that easy because, like, hey, I have to do this. They didn't quite understand like why I have to take so many pictures all of the sudden and be, or the laugh and doing this and that. But they, slowly they understood, and they like take a huge part in what I do actually. And I also like a great mentor. She doesn't know, but it's Crafty Chica. She's a blogger, and she inspired me so much because at the beginning, all I did was curly hair, right? So then somebody asked her, like, it was like I don't know, it was like a brand or something. And then they asked her, oh, I wanted to work with you, but you do craft. How can I work with you? I don't remember what product it was. And then she said, she's like the sweetest person that I don't know, she's amazing. And then she goes like, you know what? I can pretty much give a craft twist to any product. And that like clicked me. I said, I want to travel. I want to do travel. I want to do this. I want to do fashion. And that's how I got home. And then I changed from daily curse lifestyle with a curly twist. So that came from hair. I still keep my niche, but I can do so much stuff keeping my niche and be creative in so many ways. So that was my inspiration, and that was like the beginning of like my creative self, just because of that simple word that I heard from her.
I just posted a link to the Webster website into the chat so that everybody can go and be inspired too. And Diana, do you want to close us up with this question? You're muted.
I was just looking at daily curls on Instagram. You know, it takes a lot of people to help you. You know, my partner has given me a scholarship during the years I really couldn't afford to pay my own way, which I'd always done. So, you know, it was kind of a, you know, when I couldn't make the mortgage, she was there to back me up. But on the other hand, I've had mentors who have helped me in competition, and I only mention competition for one reason. Competition, you're competing. It's, you know, you're doing this or that in competition, but it really isn't for the glory, for a personal glory, at least for me. Um, it is to learn and to become better. And there is no faster way to become better in photography for me than to compete. And then you start noticing every nuance, especially when you have a mentor along the way who can sort of tell you these things. So Francie Stone Street has been my mentor. She's in Texas. And I've just had, like, I've been lifted by the entire pet photography community. It's really large on Facebook. And I've been there for a long time. So I am a known person. And it's, so they've helped me, I've helped them. Um, it just, you know, there's so many individual people, from clients to brands, that have have, let's put it this way, I've never given up, because I've always felt a little buoyed by what I was doing. And you know what, I really love my clients. I adore them. I have the best time with them. They have the best time with me, pretty sure. We have fun on our sessions, and like, it's just the whole, it's just the wrapped up to be, and personal relationships, work relationships, all kinds of relationships, that really, you know, help shape you, help lift you, help support you.
Thank you. And I know I said that Diana to close this up, but Brianne hasn't answered this question.
Yes, I definitely say for sure been blessed to have a very strong support system. My partner, we and him are high school sweethearts. And he has been there every step of the way. Whatever crazy ideas or anything I come up with, he's right there like, okay, well, what you need? What you need help with? What I need to set up? You know, what I need to do with kids, whatever it is, having a strong partnership. Definitely my parents and my grandmother, for sure, for investing in me and believing in me. And you know, even my aunt and my cousins, my brother and stuff, they'll come and they'll assist and jump in wherever is needed. And stress the importance of even networking across, being able to network across and build with other women, and you know, us pouring into each other whenever we need to tap into one another, if we need a resource, a contact, whatever. You know, we're all pretty much just a phone call, text message away, and we're like, okay, what is it you need? You know, any question, whatever it is you need, we're willing just to share amongst each other, um, to, you know, help each other grow and get to that next level that we're each trying to get into, trying to get to.
Thank you. Go ahead, Judith.
So I do want to let the audience know that one thing that Start TV did was create a 30-day challenge, which we call the 30-day Start Her Challenge. And it's a self challenge. And basically it's 30 days of actionable steps to take you from dreaming about having a business to actually having a business. So we kind of break it down into 30 actionable steps. And we have a Start Her squad of women entrepreneurs who shared their stories for each step. So you have like 30 steps and 30 video testimonials. But it's a really great resource. You can find it at starttv.net. start.tv/challenge, or just go to starttv.net and you'll see a link there. And I think it's a great tool for someone who's thinking about starting a business, who's always wanted to do it. Learn. Tamara is part of the Start Her Squad, so you'll hear a little bit more of her story during the challenge. But so it's definitely a great resource for those who are looking for it.
These interconnections and the community here is really inspiring. I really love to hear how the connections and how other people have helped and continue to help you guys. I want to ask a question to Diana. Now, we have a lot of older adults in the audience for our work ready programs, and this pet photography is like your second act. What are the benefits of starting a business as your second act?
Well, I think I had a little money to fall back on at the beginning. I had a cushion from when I was laid off from my last job. And I had also been uh, buying photography equipment, especially like I somehow had the sixth sense that things were going to happen. So I bought equipment and things. So I was kind of set to do that. But the second act, like all the other pieces were evolutionary, and this one was revolutionary in terms of I'm going to make a living at pet photography. And I would say that I would, sorry, I would say that like I was in my 50s when I started pet photography. I'm 61 now. Um, I feel like I know myself now, and I also don't really care what other people think about me, which is something that I think younger people, I don't think anyone in this panel, but I think younger people sometimes are afraid people won't like them or whatever. And I'm just like whatever. I don't care. That doesn't affect me. And so you have a kind of like a different attitude as you go through the decades. They're like in the 50s, it's like, I don't care. So I think that by the time I was in my 50s and the change was happening, I knew what I wanted, right? I knew what I wanted. I knew the path that I was like, I knew what was going to make me happy. And 11 years later, or, the pet photography is a little less, but since 2013, like, I know I'm on my path and I will die doing this because I love it so much. I don't know. I hope that made sense to you, but yeah. You know what
Absolutely.
you want. You know what you want.
Absolutely, definitely made sense. But I have a couple of other questions, but I'd rather, it's just past 8, and what I want to do is I want to take a few of the questions from the audience, 'cause we've had a few audience questions. And so for these questions, whoever has an answer, just put your hand up and we'll do it like that, because I don't know if everybody has an answer for every question. Some of these things we kind of covered already. So the first question is, we've covered this one a lot. How important is social media in the success of your business? Are there any drawbacks to social media, as in there's no more privacy? Judith.
I think the drawback to social media is that you tend to focus too much on social media. I don't remember who mentioned it, but no, Brian, you can't, uh, you shouldn't build your business on social media, number one. And also, you shouldn't focus all of your marketing on social media. I think, and that's, you learn these things as you go. I know that's how I had to learn these things. And like Rian said, it's a tool. So don't I think you need to start focusing on building your own platform, making sure you have your own like your own email newsletter list, your email list, making those connections outside of social media, because those are more lasting. Social media, remember when Instagram shut down and it was like everything stopped. Or I heard something about somebody, an author, she had a blogger, she had all this information on her site or something, and Google went in and wiped it all away. And so now she's like freaking out. So yes, it's necessary to be a part of it, but I don't think you should rely on it.
Right. Agree.
Go ahead. Ran.
And I would definitely say, as far as the time of it, it's a way to be transparent on social media and not be naked. And what I mean by that is you don't have to share everything. There's a way where you can share your process, share, just certain things, but you don't have to share your everything of your personal life. You don't have to share, every aspect of your business if you don't choose to, and you're still being able to still be transparent and share what's happening. I feel a lot of times a lot of people feel like they just have to overexpose everything that's happening. And for me, certain things, I'm very spiritual in the sense of I believe in holding certain things close to me and announcing once the ink is dried. Because sometimes you could be excited and now announce things too soon, and then it don't yeah, and it doesn't, it doesn't happen, it doesn't manifest, because you've shared it too soon, you shared it too early, and now others have, they know, and they're able to come attack it. So I just believe in being transparent but not being naked, not oversharing.
So finding that balance. Anybody else have any? Go ahead, Daly.
And also, yes, it is a time consuming, but you have to remember that not everything you see in social media is true or is not happening on real life. Like, for example, that's what I do for a living. Like, I have to be on social media, but it doesn't mean that I'm there all the time, even though I am. What I mean is that I planned out my content. I just shoot 1 or 2 days a week, and then I plan my whole week, and sometimes even 2 weeks. Like, you have to be mindful, you have to be smart, you have to plan ahead, because if not, if you want to be on social media, then okay, you have to post. And if you have a brand, you have to create content, but you can actually create it all in one day, and then you plant it out. Like, I do my story when I feel like it, and then I just have it there, and I post it whatever I is appropriate to post. Of course, I post a lot of like story, like in real life, but that doesn't happen all the time, even though it looks like I am. So in social media, you have to plan. It's not like you think like, oh, it's now. No, it's not. You have to plan it out. You have to have your editorial, and it will be really easy. Trust me, if you do it that way.
Anybody else have anything to add on this question? All right, let's move forward to the next question. And you can answer this question if you want to or not, but I think this is an interesting question for the folks out there. What's the process that you have for determining or setting your prices?
Oh, I love this question. I love this question. Pricing is really difficult. And, if you're for my particular line of work, if you're a lower price photographer, it generally means, not always, that you work on weekends only, you have another full-time job that supports you, and you'll usually give away all of your images at a lower cost. And it's not to say that they're bad, but it's usually kind of an entry level thing. So it's kind of a cheap, like $250 for a CD worth of images. And then there's a higher end, and then some people are not attracted to that low end at all. And some people are only attracted to the high end. They're saying, like, if it's cost this much, it has to be good. Where you don't want to be is in the middle. Then you're just being judged as a commodity. And you can make a lot of money doing it, we call it shoot and burn, or you can make a lot of money on a boutique style. People are looking at you, well, if she does all outdoor photography and this person does all outdoor photography, and I really can't tell the difference then I'm just going to go with the lower price. So actually with pricing, you really want to differentiate yourself. You want to make sure that what you put out is something that nobody else is putting out. And that's when you can command the more premium prices. And all business models, they all kind of work, so it just sort of depends on what your business is and what your goals are. If you're giving somebody something that nobody else has, then it might be a different price than if you're doing something that everybody has and they're just differentiating by slight things. So, and also if somebody's a full-time photographer or part-time, and they have another job to back them up. I'm a full-time photographer, so everything has to go into that. So
Thank you. Anybody else have anything to add on that question?
Okay.
Go ahead.
When Diane was talking, it reminded me, when I was in culinary school, we have a class called costing. And I remember they told us, basically it's 3 times the cost. So if it costs 50 cents to make this cookie, you charge $1.50. Oh man, that was so wrong. So now it's like I've had to learn the hard way. My time, my expertise, you can't quantify that into 3 times or twice the cost. Or so I do, because also my memory is short, I have spreadsheets. So at one point I did take the time and say, I know that it takes this many ounces of flour, sugar, this, and that I should, or anyone who is working for me should be able to create this many 6-inch discs in an hour. So that means that's an additional $15, because that's what I have to pay. At the least, pay someone is $15 an hour to make it. So my pricing is based off of cost of ingredients, time, which I have to either do myself or pay someone, which that rate is also variable, as well as not just the cost of ingredients, but the cost of application. If you want your cake, say I have an order that I'm invoicing right now that I need to email out. It's a 4-tier cake. The bottom 2 tiers are painted, hand painted in edible gold. So it's not just the cost of that edible gold, but it's also how long is it going to take me just to paint those 2 tiers? We haven't even gotten into the baking, the frosting, the filling, the stacking, but just how I have to factor in so many things. But I do have a formula, and it all boils down to math for me and meticulous notes. I could not have properly cost that a few years ago because I hadn't made it. Now that I have this experience on my side, I can charge accordingly. So that way it also gives me the freedom to create by charging appropriately too. I don't know, does that answer the question? For me, it's math. It boils down to math based on experience, time, ingredients, time baking, time decorating, time stacking, and even with delivery, my delivery costs. It's not just miles, it's also, because I booked a lot of cakes this year from Malibu. Okay, so that's 45 miles from downtown LA. But that could very easily on a Saturday at 6 p.m. be a 2-hour drive. So I also have to factor in the gas, the cost. So everything for me boils down to math, and it's multifaceted elements that go into the cost.
Thank you. Go ahead, Daly.
And I think that cost, like Tamara said, is something that you learn. It's like try and error. Like I remember that I used to have this media kit. So now I cannot have a media kit. Why? Because every client is unique. Every product is unique. It's not the same. If you want me to shoot like a lipstick, like, hey, I love this lipstick, that if you want me to do a hair video tutorial. So you have to tell me what do you want. If you want this, and it's basically like the time consuming, like Tamara said, your expertise, that they know that they are getting what they want. And in my case, that I have something like is kind of unique because my content is bilingual. So that is also something to take into consideration. If I'm going to do a blog post for you, it's going to be basically 2 in 1. So that is something that you kind of learn, and you also have to do like your research, do your math. It doesn't matter if you're baking or if you are creating content. At the end of the day, you know that you have to spend money to create whatever you are creating. So that is something that you have to take notes of everything. Uh, the time, even like the time, even if it's a bobby pin, even if it's like the tiny flower, you have to write it down to know, because at the end of the day, that is extra cost. And if you start creating, they said, oh, but I didn't make any money. So that's how you learn. But write everything, every little tiny detail.
Thank you. Let's do, so we have a percent, but it's the time is getting, let's do maybe one more question. Is that okay, you guys? Okay. So let's talk about learning. So what are some educational resources that you found helpful in your entrepreneurial journey? There's so much involved: bookkeeping, social media marketing, pricing, public speaking, all kinds of different skills that are involved, especially when you're running your own business. So how did you all acquire those skills, or what resources did you use? Judith, would you like to start?
Well, the library, of course.
I did not pay Judith to say this.
But I mean, it makes perfect sense. I mean, for me, it's like if I'm looking for information, I'm gonna think, okay, where can I find the books? I'm gonna go to the library. I'm gonna look at books, and a lot of libraries have certain sections now where they have information about starting businesses or other different different things, like things for seniors or just different information resources. So the library is always usually my first stop. Um, at the library, you can read autobiographies of entrepreneurs. You can find all type of how to any all these questions that we're talking about: pricing strategies, social media, all those things. You can get books, tutorial books on it at the library. You can find the business periodicals, and guess what? It doesn't cost you anything. And when you're starting as an entrepreneur, you don't want to be throwing money around. You can always find, you know, you see on Instagram, oh, I'll teach you for $4,000. I'll teach you how to do this or do that or something that, if you went to the library, you can find out for free.
Absolutely, yeah. This is an answer after my own heart, of course, and it's true. We have a whole bunch of different resources, more than most people would ever believe about starting one's own business. Tamara, do you go next?
Yes. I know when I started, because I was not inherently a businesswoman. I had no clue. So I did all the classic, I did the mentorship with SCORE. I did the SBA, where I was going to their meetings. Now, SBA with COVID, they have really amped up their webinar programs. So there's still so much great free advice that they give on everything from finances to opportunities to funding. So I always encourage people to do SCORE, SBA, and a local one here. And I believe this is a nationwide organization that I joined that was a free networking group. It's called Tuesday Together, part of a Rising Tide Society. Their whole premise is a rising tide lifts all boats. So basically, it's creatives from every genre: photographers, florists, cake artists, event planners, painter, whatever it was. And you would find it and collaborate, network, support each other. Even most recently, the Tuesday Together came up with an accountability program if you needed a partner to help you just stay on task and your goals. So I, like Judith, always go free first. So before I paid for any class, I did all of my local free resources. And you can get that. SBA, like I said, Tuesday Together and SCORE are wins. And just I
Thank you.
want to say on Score too, I don't know, you've never done Score. Score is they pair you with like a mentor business partner who is already established. The ones I had were all retired like CEOs who were giving you like priceless advice on how to proceed, regardless of what the business was. It always boiled down to your numbers, your math, and having a solid business plan, which I was able to do with them.
And we just posted some of those links in the chat too, so folks can find them. And I'm gonna send a follow-up email tomorrow with information for all of our panelists and also the links that we're posting in the chat right now. So if you didn't write everything down really quickly, that's okay. We got you. Daly, do you want to go next?
Yeah, so for me, at the beginning, free first, of course, and that includes a lot of hours watching YouTube videos and how create your own website and you know, all that kind of stuff that is there. It's time consuming, but it's definitely worth it. But in my case, I did pay money to attend a blogger conference and content creator conference, YouTube conference, you name it. I've been there, and I think it worth every penny that I pay for it, because it's not only the learning, but it's also the community. I mean, you get a lot of connections, and those connections are priceless. Those connections still, I mean, like literally like 2 days ago, I received a huge opportunity for a person that I met, and that was like 8 years ago in a conference. So, oh, do you remember me? I said, of course. And so that is priceless. Like my community of blogger and content creator that I connect in those conferences are amazing. So definitely, yeah, go free first, read a lot of books, YouTube and all that, but also know that you have to educate yourself and pay for conference, for classes, whatever it is you need. When you have the money, of course, not at the beginning.
Brianne, do you want to go next?
Definitely like the lady said before me, for sure, free first. Make Google your best friend. Type in whatever question you have in, as many ways as you can, because it'll generate different answers if you type it in more than once in different formats. For sure, another books, YouTube, General Assembly. They have pretty low cost programs. They have a location in downtown and in Santa Monica. And honestly, I'm very big too on experience. Like you could, conferences and then experience. And what I mean by that is you could absorb and take all the classes, you could do all the webinars, you could read all the books, but until you actually start applying what it is that you learn, that's where you really are going to learn the most and really grow the most. Experience beats everything. It's number one, because that's where you are getting your hands dirty and you are really learning and building, and everything's not going to go exactly how you read it in the book or how the teacher explained it to you. You have to take that information in and actually apply it and actually apply some action to it.
The School of Hard Knocks. Learn from your own mistakes, learn from your own experiences, learn from your own successes. And Diana, do you want to close us up with this one?
Yeah, when I first started out, there was a site on pet photography, and it was a paid site. It was like $25 a year. It wasn't very expensive, but I started reading in that because that was one of the first things I found, and it was really a low cost entry into people talking about it. And then I just found Facebook really helpful. There are so many photography business, photography shooting, pet photography. There are so many online resources on Facebook particularly, that, and at different levels, you can find groups at different levels where you aspire to be. And that's primarily, I tried Score at the beginning, and I have a little bit of resistance to some of the information, which is stupid. Like it's a dumb thing of mine, but when I absorb the information, just just on these Facebook groups, I just kind of let it come into me, and I hate the term marinate, but it marinated in me. That's kind of how I
Simmers.
started. Yeah, that's how I kind of started really understanding all the facets of the business. And then, you know, uh, I think it was Brianne said, you will learn when you do it. You know, no matter what anybody says, you're going to go through your own path. Um, Sometimes you'll make the right decision, sometimes you'll make the wrong decision. Either decision you'll learn from. Um, hopefully none of them are fatal. And, you just keep going. Like there's this one thing they say, don't quit 5 minutes before the miracle. And that's kind of how I feel, is like, just keep going. And, and you're going up. You're not going back. You're always going a little, like, even if you have a setback, you're still always going up. So, yeah.
Go ahead, Judith.
Also just want to let everyone know, well, just kind of warn people about comparing yourself to other people. So don't compare your journey to somebody else's journey. That's something, you know, when they talk about why did I start TV, one of the reasons was also I was kind of frustrated reading all of these kind of like mainstream media stories about the it girl boss of the moment. And it would be like, oh, she's self-made, oh, she's this. But then there'd be like these missing pieces, like, well, my husband is a millionaire, or, I have all these resources, these contacts. So you don't know the full story. When you look on these, when you're scrolling on Instagram and they're like showing you that entrepreneurship is the life of Chanel bags and, fabulous parties, don't believe the hype. You just stay focused on your journey. Don't look sideways, because like Diana said, your journey is going to be unique to you. So I just want to warn people about comparing themselves to others. Don't do it.
All right, Judith, thank you so much for being the prime mover in this panel. This wouldn't have happened without you. I so much appreciate you. Let's, give Judith a round of applause here.
Oh, thank you. It's my
So much
pleasure.
appreciate this. And Diana, thank you. Brianne, thank you. Daly, thank you. And Tamara, thank you. I really appreciate you guys taking this time and sharing with the audiences, our work ready audience, all of your hard won experiences and your setbacks and your successes. This has been a really meaningful panel, and I'm really pleased that we were able to end our third session of Work Ready with such an important subject, and with you all as panelists. Thank you.